people, introduce
Cool.
yourself,
Yeah.
and then get into how we dream of each other, how you've seen me,
Cool.
waking up on the ships. You're all typo negative?
I think so.
Okay,
I'm
so
quite sure.
all typo negative.
Quite sure.
Yeah, and then go with what you feel you want to share.
Cool.
I think we have 35 to 40 minutes
Okay.
tape. So
Great. Awesome. So hi, my name is Gabe, and so today we're going to be talking about how we're linking up in Dreamtime, how we're linking up on the ships, and how you can kind of get more in tune with that. So how that occurs really has to do with a vibrational attunement between yourself and another individual or individuals. And as that attunement occurs, you establish more of a powerful telepathic link, and that leads you to be able to meet other people in a very visceral kind of way in Dreamtime and in these higher dimensions. So the way that that happens, the way that that telepathic link is established more so, is actually by connecting with individuals in person and connecting those dots. So, I've had a lot of experiences with Ra on the ship, and then we just met synchronistically in person, and immediately those experiences that we've had, that telepathic link that we've already had, then was accentuated even more so. And so we're all from the East Coast, and the moment that we came back to Sedona, we have a lot of friends here. And interestingly enough, the moment that we came to Sedona and we linked up with everyone here in person, it was like immediately in Dreamtime we were all working with one another once again. So we were reintegrating into that collective sphere. And that's really what's up, and that's really how we begin to form these networks and these communities before even meeting in person.
So you also said you have you've seen Krista on the ship.
Yeah,
Can you describe like what the work mode is like?
Yeah,
Upload,
totally.
Download.
Totally.
Yeah.
So a lot of times when I see Ra or when I see Krista and a lot of other Starseeds and stuff on the ship, we're most of the time either sitting around a table or in some sort of station where there's what we would interpret as computers, but they're way more multidimensional. They're hyperdimensional, metaphysical stuff that we can't even really comprehend how it works. But the way that my consciousness kind of brings it back down here is that a lot of the times we're working on the computer, quote unquote, with one another, and we're basically exchanging information, exchanging different blueprints and templates of information that we've gathered throughout our journey, and sharing that and downloading each other with that.
So is that also
Yeah.
like you see yourself like a probe?
Yeah,
Is it you're downloading, you're inputting treatment of other people,
totally.
emotional thought patterns, how you integrate, and it's all input.
Yeah.
And then you feel like, which is what I feel,
Yeah.
we go up,
Uh-huh.
and then we put the data back into the archives.
Yeah, totally.
And
It's
then
the Akashic, yeah.
Yeah, and then we evaluate, how conscious is elevated and how we actually go through these processes.
Yeah, and also what are the next necessary steps to be able to create the things that we are here to create in the human experience, And so every time we get together, it's like we're swapping different files, and, energetically, like if I'm meeting Ra on the ship, it's like Ra saying, okay, this is what worked for me, this is what I've been integrating, and I'm like, okay, this is what I've been integrating, and it's all very telepathic and simultaneous, and you kind of come out of that experience sometimes feeling like a greater sense of clarity with that. You want to add anything?
Yeah.
Let's switch the mic.
Okay, cool.
Switch the mic. Sure.
Yeah.
Switch positions. All live, unscripted. So come here.
All right, check.
So I have you clear, and then you share your experience.
Sure.
And then it's your turn.
So something I just wanted to talk about is, so first of all, I'm Nash Atkins. I live on the East Coast with these two guys. Been having a lot of these experiences for my whole life, as with this group, and a lot of other people around the world. And something that I've noticed that's really powerful is how we each have these different roles to play in what's going on the planet right now, and of course off the planet as well. And just as we're raising our vibration and starting to realize the multidimensionality and how we're all working in these different realities simultaneously is that, you know, each person has a very specific role that's being played. So when we are waking up in dream time, or, you know, having lucid experiences with ETs and other beings, a lot of times I see that people are in positions where they're working with different things. So, you know, we're specifically, the three of us are very focused on music. So I find a lot of the times I'll be on a ship and I'll be working with music technology that ETs have developed that's very intuitive and flexible. And so that's like a focus of our experience. And we're sort of, I find that a lot of times we're channeling what our experience is here into that reality so that they have a context to put human experience into. And then, you know, there's of course times where we may be getting upgrades, like we'll find ourselves on a table and a being is working on us. You know, Gabe and I have had experiences with some reptilians and you know, Zetas and different things, and
We had a total reconfigurement of our
Yeah,
nervous system at one point.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, talk about the reptilians, and you know, I know the Zetas. I think is this future aspect of us. But what's that thing with the draconian aspect, and the viciousness and the villainy? What's your perception?
Well,
in that?
so my perception on that whole thing is really, you know, I believe it's with any race or any species of beings that, you know, there's some amazing beings that are working in pursuit of light and the evolution of consciousness, and then of course there are beings who are, you know, to be honest, kind of assholes, and they're not very in alignment, and they may not be working for necessarily a harmonious perspective. They're maybe more in a negative alignment. So, you know, I think a lot of the time there can be a focus on a specific race being one specific alignment, and I think that is a somewhat narrow-minded perspective, because we've had experiences, Gabe and I, with reptilians that are totally working to like upgrade our genetic material and help augment our DNA. And, you know, we had this one experience with, it was a Zeta and a reptilian, and they were like definitely very left brain oriented, very much like informational, but they were super heart centered, and they were very like loving beings, and they just basically reset our whole nervous system. It was like, my experience of it while I was in my bed was just, I felt like molecules of sand were like being like pushed through my whole body, you know, because you could feel all your nervous system receptors being reset.
I have something just to add to that.
Yeah.
In terms of when it comes to negative beings, we have to understand that depending on where we're putting our vibrational focus, we're going to match ourselves to aspects of ourselves or other extraterrestrial and extra-dimensional beings that are more oriented towards the shadow. If we are in fact more oriented towards the shadow, and we have beliefs and definitions that would be reflective of that, because as hopefully we all know, our beliefs and definitions are what is generating our reality. So a lot of people that are kind of in fear-based programming, they have a lot of negative experiences with a lot of more negatively oriented beings. In my experience, because I don't play much on the shadow side anymore, I don't have those experiences. So with the reptilians, as Nash was saying, it's very heart-centered, and with a lot of, pretty much all of my contact experiences have been very heart-centered, and the only time that I've experienced fear has been my completely own projection and definition of the fear-based experience that I am creating for myself.
Yeah. One more thing I wanted to say about that too is just that, you know, if you're kind of just beginning on the journey of unraveling and discovering your contact experiences, because for a lot of the people who will be experiencing these, they've been having those experiences for their whole life, but they're just not cognizant or aware of it. And so at the time when you begin to start uncovering that storyline, it can at first seem like these beings are coming without your volition and without your will to do that. But, you know, we've all agreed to have that interaction. And, you know, as soon as you go into the experience without that fear programming, then those walls kind of drop and you start to have a much more harmonious experience. It can just be abrupt because it's a vibration that you're just so not used to. You know, you just have to get really tuned into that higher vibration, and like when they come into your field at first, it may be a very like I said, an abrupt or
It puts your body
unpleasant.
into shock
Yeah, it
sometimes.
puts your body into shock, and if you just sort of go with that and just take down those barriers that you've built up, you'll quickly relax into that vibration and have a much more harmonious experience.
Cool. So, number 3.
All right.
Click that here. And you go with the center. Yeah, you go up to the side here.
Sure.
Close.
Cool. So hey guys, my name is Dane Herndon. Really lucky to have such amazing friends and brothers who have gone through a lot of similar things that I have as well, because I've too had similar experiences since I was a child, really as far back as I can remember. And yeah, it's been really interesting for me over the past few years to really integrate that and come to terms with my kind of galactic heritage, and just really begin to embody what it means to be kind of a ambassador in that regard, and just to, it's been really exciting for me at least to be able to share my experiences with other people who once again go through some of the same things. So I guess like some of the more notable experiences that I have in Dreamtime and on ships and things are, like Nash said, very musically focused. So I'll have experiences where I'm like jamming with hybrid children, or I'm an electronic music producer. I produce music under the name Starseed, and you can find me on like SoundCloud, soundcloud.com/Starseed, starseed.bandcamp.com, facebook.com/StarseedMusique. But anyways, I produce electronic music on a computer, and there's a set of programs that are catered to music production, and they're called DAWs. And in DAWs, you have the ability to basically like doing an automation, performing an automation on a certain parameter, like volume or something like that. Maybe what's called a cutoff frequency for a filter. That's a pretty common effect to automate. Anyways, I have experiences where I'm like doing automations on ships, on computers and things like that. And it is, like Gabe said, like very like metaphysical, and not quite as like, yeah, not quite as physical as we might be used to in terms of like how we're working with computers and things. But the way that I see it is like, yeah, I guess like how Nash put it, it's like a way for the framework within which I work down here and the framework of the dream experience to kind of like connect with one another for my consciousness.
So would you say that it's basically upstairs is and downstairs is kind of interfaced?
Yeah.
Of what you do on a ship has a dimensional interpretation of what you do down here.
Yeah,
it
absolutely.
might look mundane,
Absolutely.
but it's basically the same.
It is.
Yeah.
Just a different dimensional aspect.
Exactly,
Of
yeah.
looking at it. Okay.
Yeah.
Totally.
Cool.
Yeah.
A different focal point of consciousness, really. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's kind of like up there, maybe I'm zoomed out a lot. I'm looking at things from, well, yeah, a higher perspective, like a higher dimensional outlook. And then down here, it's much more like, yeah, zoomed in and physicalized, of course.
So any contact experience, like you want to share, like how you make contact, whether it's dream space, lucid dreaming, or they come into your room?
Yeah,
Anything you have,
sure.
just,
Yeah,
feel free to share with the people.
yeah, I've had a lot of like, like work done on me, particularly like frequency attunement and like vibrational healing and recalibration and that kind of stuff. Sometimes it happens when I'm on ships in dream time. Sometimes it happens when I'm just laying in my bed and beings will come in and do work on me. And this can feel, I don't know, the sensation can be reminiscent of like a very kind of tingling sensation, like almost like pins and needles. And most of the time, like my body is pretty much like, just like totally still and like pretty much frozen. sometimes I'm like on a ship and there's like light beings around performing healing work on me, doing things to my genetics, you know, upgrading them, and just tuning me to my blueprint to a greater degree. So that's some of the more common stuff. I do also, of course, have Dreamtime experiences where I meet up with other Starseeds, other volunteers, and we get briefed on missions, and we'll be in like council meetings and just do a lot of different stuff. Really, it's pretty variegated, but yeah, it's definitely like seems to be a common theme. So
Okay, cool. So
yeah.
let me drop my 20 cents in there. Y'all stay with me. Stay with me. Stay close. Oops. Oh, now I dismantled this piece in a sovereign way. But my Zeta mind brings it back. Let's say Asasani mind. So yeah, just come real close. You come closer here. So yeah, so we have all. So yeah, let's move up so we have to focus. Okay. So and feel free to say anything that comes up while I'm saying this, because I'm saying this just to activate. You feel when these things happen to you, you feel like you're alone. You have to find like minds. See, they're not my neighbors. I wish they were, like on this big community where we can all actually share our downloads. But somehow they say time and space is different up there. We're all together actually. We want to bring it, as they say, as in heaven, so on earth, as in the mental faculty, as in divine will, so it shall be embodied in the flesh here on earth. So we want to build these communities. That's how we find each other, using modalities of social media to connect. And I had this experience, which I shared with you earlier at the Illops gathering, is where I was in bed and I was also on a ship at the same time. And I was in two realities at the same time. I'm in my bed and I'm walking in this avatar body, but I'm also laying in my bed. And I'm looking through the ship deck, the corridors. It's like Star Trek, which I truly believe is channeled.
It is.
Because Gene Roddenberry studied a channel that was called Phyllis V. Schlemmer. Wrote a book called The Only Planet of Choice. It's based on the Council of Nine. The Council of Nine is the original Star Trek crew, 9 members. We all have to do our job. We all have to, and if you want to recap, or for those who have never watched Star Trek, has nothing to do with being a Trekkie or not, is Spock has a job. Uhura is a communication channeler, translates linguistics and languages. I always see Krista like kind of like an Uhura lieutenant, that she has the database. She translates, like she does 9-dimensional symbols. Also, if you want t-shirts, Krista's Angels at Etsy store. She makes these phenomenal urban affirmation tees. You're a commander, officer, connector, communications, music, I don't know, all of these things that come in. And one of a powerful experience that I had is like, make no mistake, Earth is a planet, or Earth is also a plane. Earth is a ball, Earth is also flat. So it's flat and it's not.
And it's the mothership.
Yeah, it's the mothership, actually, where
actually.
everybody's looking outside.
Yeah.
And also is the other stations are workstations.
Yeah.
You seen Babylon 5? That's what we're working on. These are way stations for souls in different species to do their business and then go back to their planetary upgrade, up or download, descend, ascend, incend. I mean, it's how do you say, a lot of souls are here to work on this process of planetary advance, human civilization advancing, the human collective and the consciousness. And I had this experience on Mount Shasta, is when people think with UFOs and military and invasions, all crap, this is fully controlled. This entire grid is protected, monitored, and watched. Yeah, there are people in here, they play with different agendas, but guess what? All of those negative agendas are also being recorded. Why does this consciousness pick that agenda? Why is there betrayal? Why is there murder? Why is there war? What are the choices? What are the sum of the choices? Because they want for us, we're like infants right now, to learn to what is the right thing to do and what state of consciousness. How do you integrate your thought processes? How do you recalibrate and bring the left and right hemisphere back together, synchronizing? actually getting more psychedelic, actually producing more chemicals to be in a higher state of consciousness and holiness, such as Sedona is a nodal point for UFOs and ships to come here. Sinagua, Hopi, and Navajo call it the Kachina Highway. And that grid is a very powerful grid that goes from here to Phoenix, Flagstaff, and creates this triangle to San Francisco, which they call the Arcturian Corridor. So that the massive ships and work and way stations, they're all here. They're all in dimensional plates and they're with us. So my take is, I believe is sometimes we don't see the ships because we vibrationally not in high enough dimension. But why do you think is that we don't see this stuff all the time?
Hey, go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think we always speak about this. A lot of the time, it really has to do with relevancy, you know? We, as you were speaking about, we all find ourselves in different assignments. You know, we're placed in these different locations. There's a lot of starseeds around the Earth that are working in different ways, and we don't always know what that role is, you know? Sometimes it may seem very mundane, and I think the reason that a lot of times we don't necessarily see all the activity that's going on the physical plane is because if we all of a sudden started seeing ships in the sky, we might forget what our mission is. You know, we might not be focused in the physical plane, in the human experience, and we might start neglecting those duties, because really I think one of the biggest things is just like we're here to share our vibration. You know, we're here to like really share that experience of what being higher vibrational and higher dimensional means. And to me that just means like loving yourself and loving the planet and loving our experience, you know? So it's like that is the focus, and then all these other things are part of it. But you know, we didn't choose to be starseeds, we just are starseeds. You know, it's like so you know, I think a lot of starseeds get homesick, really. And so the more that we would see ships, it would be like, oh, well, I don't even want to be here anymore, you know.
Well,
so
I had that.
Just have to really.
Totally.
I went through this experience where a ship came and it was singing a melody to me, and I was on my knees and I cried and I said, take me off this planet here. This stuff here, the modulate, it's a bitch. This is like hell for me. I realized what we have done, and I was like, take me out. I want to go home. So that explains that, and they said that they can't give us total recall yet because we all want to be like, I'm out, like I'm done.
We're all
why am I even here playing myself? You know, trying to convince the world. See how hard it is. Like I have these light technologies. I have stuff that can enhance the quantum physics of your car, saving you fuel. I get 2,000 views on a video, and then somebody sits on a toilet and singing a song about their dumping. And they got 90 million views, and I'm like, why am I even here? Why? Where's this consciousness? You know, is it so hard to show people like you can develop your consciousness, reach higher states, and keep them without having to eat mushrooms every day, or LSD or whatever it is? Not that I'm recommending that. Always, you know, know what you're doing, respect yourself, source and everything that is around you. Is what's the divine purpose for us to be here? And trust me, if I would see elves in the woods, I'd be chilling with the elves and be like, okay, so what's the news? What's really going on planet Earth? I would probably less interacting with humans, honest to God, and I would talk more with them. And it's so intense. I had an interaction with an amphibious elf once where I didn't really care about what was going on. He gave me the story, or it was androgynous, of the wars, how the disagreeable beings came in, how the balance got tilted, where weaponry comes from, how a lot of stuff in the Asian culture is elven, like the samurai swords, the shogun warrior outfits, it's all elven. I didn't even know that. So it goes that far back. And our story is so fantastic, and they said the time will come where these gates will be opened, but everything has to be buffered. Like it's like you can't put an 11-year-old in a Lamborghini. That's basically what I'm getting. They just go woo, and then burn themselves out. So
well, you know what, I have a 7-month-old daughter right now, and something very interesting about the human race is that we're basically like a 7-month-old child, in the fact that, you know, my daughter, when she wants to explore your face, she can't really help but grab your face and just squeeze as hard as possible. And of course that's not a very pleasant experience, and it can be quite destructive. but to her, that's the only way she can interface with it. So in some sense, humans are still at that stage where, you know, we're looking at mothership Earth and we're saying, oh, I love this planet, let me like interface with this, and then we just grab it and we just rip everything out, and we're pretty destructive, you know. But we have to get to the level where we've developed enough consciousness to really, how do we be gentle with this, how do we be gentle with the process, be gentle with ourselves, you know.
I mean, how babies see the ball and they touch the ball and they lick the ball, they want to know how it tastes, whether it's dirty or not. That's not in their interest. Their interest is input and data. And I had a very interesting telepathic connection with your daughter.
Yeah.
How I could see how babies would choose. Very like a lot of people sitting around, and your daughter just grilled me.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got like mushed and squeezed and checked out. And really, and I'm like, okay, just data input taking place right now.
Yeah.
And it's just about how does that feel? Okay, when I press too hard, this happens here, and it's like this testing ground. So now I see yourself in that infant stage that we're here now having to find out, okay, that's destructive. Moderation, consideration, feeling each other, knowing. So what we're doing here is also we're sharing information. I'm not here, I'm the raw, you see, like I have a Google Mail account. That doesn't mean I'm Google. You know, I'm subscribing to the Google collective, that's all, you know. So I'm saying when I call myself Ra, is that I'm subscribing to the Ra collective as a social memory complex, downloading that back into the vessel to reintegrate that and bring that forward, which can actually also be tiring. The more you download your higher self, I don't know if you experience that, you're in that high state, it can be very, very tiring.
Taxes your nervous system completely.
That's why you've got to stay grounded.
You got to stay.
Or else you'll just fry your circuits.
How do you do the grounding?
A lot of it has to do with just like really, I mean, quite literally connecting with the earth, like taking your shoes off, going outside. I've been doing like some gardening lately to kind of like offset my my time spent doing production on a computer.
I like woodworking.
Yeah,
that's what I do.
Doing
Music.
physical activities, music as well is wonderful.
Channel it through and ground it and crystallize it.
Yeah.
Physical activities, you know,
working out, just being your body.
Yeah, and creative endeavors. Yeah, that's really
totally.
Those are the best ways.
Yeah.
I would like to say one thing about contact too, and just in general. So I always like to think that making contact can only occur when you make contact with yourself. And when you actually, instead of waiting for the ships to land, you actually land within your own heart, within your own alignment. And when that happens, you allow your life to actually be a series of amazing, miraculous unfolding events. And something very interesting happens when you reach this level of alignment. You can have a lot of metaphysical experiences, a lot of contact experiences, but there's not this sort of craving for it, and there's not this sort of, they aren't put on a pedestal in terms of them being a better experience than something that could happen just here in the physical sense. And I think that's very important as we're opening up more to these realities, is seeing that what's going on here is just as amazing as what's going on the ships.
Yeah,
and
life is a trip.
Life is such a trip.
Absolutely.
It's such a trip.
Every impression is psychedelic, basically. Excitement releases endorphins, but also I warn people of, I call it the trip trap. When you trip and you see all the symbols and the numbers, people tend to get stuck in that they think everything revolves around them. This is only showing you that you paused the creational motor, and you need to get that motor back up and bring that experience back in, that you know you have an influence. But if you don't participate, you have no influence.
Right.
So you got to get out of the awe, the ETs, all the interdimensionals, all the synchronicities and all the numbers. Yeah, I recognize double digits, triple digits on the clock, on license plates every day, but don't get stuck in the amazement. Participate and work with that.
Totally.
Bring that, modulate that, anchor it in, as in grounding that in, participating in life, activating action steps, and making it happen, and knowing that you are an unfolding event in infinite of miracles that you realize within the self. And when you say making contact with your higher self, I also say higher selves.
Oh, totally.
A friend of mine said, what is if the Zeta represent the higher aspect of your mitochondria? You're talking to yourself. You're talking to your body. Salvation means the rising of the salt within the bloodstream. Salvation. Cerebellum, cherubim, is your head. Amygdala, Maria Magdalene,
Yeah,
always
totally.
goes back to your body. So we always have to understand, you know, God within the body, God eternal in the body. Greg Braden has translated that in the God code, that the Hebrew letters, the first sentence in the Gattaca code literally say, God within,
Eternal, isn't it?
eternal
Yeah.
within the body.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
you represent the universe represents you. So astrology is based on all your organs. I know that the kidneys is the Gemini. So I understand the Gemini aspect. You have to understand the process of kidneys and bladder and lungs and heart. I don't know all by heart. You have to check this guy, Santo Benucci, I think. He breaks it down, very intelligent, very smart.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
Santos Bonacci.
Yeah, Benacci, how this all comes back to the body. And if you have to investigate, you have to have the passion to really wanting to know what this is about. And then it gets really, really fantastic, and everybody can be smarter. You just have to want that in your life to happen. And I think, yeah, we can wrap it up like this.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
So stay,
cool.
stay positive, open your mind, and I'm looking for more people like these, so we can share this stuff. Shareable thought waves, faith's conjugate, like Dan Winter would say. And I most definitely see you all like them on the flip side. On the flip side.
Peace.
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 Good, we got it.
That was awesome.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.